this is Jennifer Guevara, and I'll be doing my presentation on my service learning at Guardian Ad Litem. As you can see in this picture right here, these are my peers that I did my training with, and we all got sworn in together to be official Guardian Ad Litems for the court. I did my service learning at the Jacksonville office, and it is considered the 4th district. It covers Onslow, Duplin, Jones County. My supervisors were Andy Webb, who is an MSW, and Katie Luke, who's a BSW, and also in the process of becoming an MSW. What is a Guardian Ad Litem? Well, the official definition is a court-appointed special advocate for children who have been removed from their homes because of alleged abuse, abandonment, or neglect. However, a better definition of what a Guardian Ad Litem is that they are not only an advocate, they're also a mentor. They also are mediators, and they're also investigators. Guardian Ad Litem first was created in 1977 by a judge who felt that children needed a voice. North Carolina established their first Guardian Ad Litem / CASA in 1983. Here is a list of the training that is required to be a Guardian Ad Litem. Please don't get discouraged by it. It does seem like a lot, but it really isn't, because we already have covered a majority of all these things. It just kind of goes more into details on the domestic violence and substance abuse with family and children. If you have taken any type of child abuse class, then all of this will come easy to you, because pretty much that's everything that I have ever learned between the first and second semester came into play in this training. So training was pretty easy for me. Here's a list of some of my duties. It's actually 2 pages because it's a lot. When you go sign up for Guardian Ad Litem, they'll tell you that, to be a Guardian Ad Litem would take 8 to 10 hours a month. That is possible if you only have one child. I cannot go into details about my case, but I can tell you that I do have more than one child, and my case is not that simple. So I already have put in, since I received my case, not including my regular service hours, I have already put in at least 15 hours. When I first get the case, I review it. I either accept it or I decline it. And then after that, I start reviewing the reports. I read what the social worker DSS says. I read the court records, if there's any arrest records, why the parents were arrested, why the child was taken away. I read over any medical records, if the child was sexually assaulted and there was an exam done. I read the school records to see if the child's been in school. I see if the child has an IEP. And then I see what type of resources the child has. This is where I start my investigation. I start interviewing everyone that is involved in the child's life, which is all the adults, parents, foster parents, neighbors, friend of the family, school social workers, doctors, psychologists if the child is seeing them, lawyers. Once the court appoints you to be an advocate, you have a badge and you have several forms that you can take with you, and all you have to do is go visit these places, show them your badge and your court order documents, and they have to provide you with the information you ask. Any place of service that declines to give you information, which usually is the mental health places of business, when you go to court, this is something you have to tell the judge. And a majority of the time, depending what the case is about, the court will put a subpoena out for that person to come to court. These type of places, they lose money if they have to leave work, so they will give you a little bit of pushback, but at the end of the day, you will end up getting what you need, especially if it's for the child and it's for the best interest, or to receive better care and make sure they are getting the care that they need. You also are able to make recommendations and referrals. So let's say a parent, loses their kid temporarily because of bad parenting. Not everyone who is involved with DSS and Guardian Ad Litem has had their kids taken away because they're a drug addict or sexual abuse or physical abuse. Sometimes there's just bad parenting, and the way you can fix bad parenting is helping a parent. So as a guardian ad litem, we have the power to make recommendations for parents to take parenting classes. If we suspect drug use, we can have them tested. If we feel that they could benefit from, drug rehab, we make recommendations for that. Because everything that we do is not to keep the child away. The first goal is for reunification. And if that doesn't work out, and that's when we start thinking about ways to better this child's life and start preparing this child for to know that their parents are about to lose their parental rights, and then that child will end up being adopted. This is when it starts getting tricky, because this child starts looking up to you and starts having faith in you, and you're an advocate for them and you're a mentor to them. You're going to be that person, or the social worker, or both of you together are going to be the people who are going to sit down with those children or that child and tell them that they will not see their parents again if their parents' rights are terminated. This is where social work really starts to kick in. Not only are you working with a social worker already, but as a volunteer before becoming a social worker, you get to see frontline, the raw, the ugly, the effects of what bad parenting, what sexual abuse, what physical abuse does to children. And it's heartbreaking. But if you can be part of something to change that by, bringing art and crafts to when you see the children, because children already have to see a therapist and they have to sit in a chair and already feel like they're being interviewed constantly. You can always change that around as a guardian ad litem. We're allowed to do crafts with them. We're allowed to have the foster parents bring them places so that we can do recreation with them. It's not about sitting down for a therapy session. It's all about helping the child grow, helping the child heal, and creating a better environment for them. And that includes where they're going to be placed permanently. The theories I observed with resiliency was how quick we are called to immediately respond and immediately to start advocating for these children from day one. We are also trained to build healthy relationships and provide resources between a child and those who care for them, including the parents, extended family, foster parents. The prediction I see for resiliency is that if we continue to be the voice for children, be a mediator, and make positive connections to strengthen the family, this would include not only advocating for the child, but recommending parenting classes, recommending parents for drug rehab treatment and family therapy, not just individual therapy, because we're trying to reunificate the family. We're not trying to tear them apart. The only time we would do separation and termination of rights if that parent is not fit to be a parent and continues to affect this child's development. And that's why I also selected for development theory Paget's of cognitive development. All stages can be affected by impacts of abuse and domestic violence, even as adults. But the most important is neglect in the pre-optional stage can contribute to speech problems and emotional detachment, and it runs into other development stages of their age. So what happens to a child at 3 years old, especially when detachment disorder kicks in, can affect the child later on in life when he's 20. I predict with this that if Guardian ad litem and DSS connect with other organizations to help provide services for children with developmental delays to improve their learning and help reverse the negative learned behavior, it can be done. I selected conflict theory for Guardian ad litem. There's actually a lot of theories that go with Guardian ad litem, but I select this one because if people were not at a disadvantage because of their income, their race, or where they were, they would have the resources to fix the problems they have. However, when poverty comes in there's a cycle of it, and someone has a drug problem, not purposely, maybe they broke a leg and this is just how it came about, it's harder for someone to go to Wilmington and pay out of pocket for a 30-day treatment versus someone who makes a lot of money and they can just take it out of their trust fund or their insurance covers for it. So with that comes homelessness. If an adult ends up being homeless because of an addiction problem and everything, and they have children, that means those children become homeless as well. So parenting classes, GED programs, and shelters is what I predict will be a success and a help for children and adults that are involved with DSS and Guardian Ad Litem. Speaking about my experience at Guardian Ad Litem, it's really hard to keep it under 10 minutes because there is so much that we are doing. So I provided a meme for you where you can pause it and look at it because that's what it truly feels like. And I just want to say that being a Guardian Ad Litem is one of the best decisions I've ever made. Not only am I being exposed to the social worker world, I know how the courts work inside and out. I'm able to work with other social workers, which is kind of like having a bunch of mentors. And also, I'm providing a service to a child in need. I am a mentor. I am an advocate. I am somewhat of in my heart, I feel like a savior because I can't change the world, but I can try with one child at a time. Thank you for taking the time to listen to me. Have a good one.